Hello everybody, I am King Anasazi, and thank you for taking time out of your day, your very, very busy schedule, to listen to the POWERCAST. This is episode 2, and just to kind of jump right on into things, I got 2 things I want to say. One being, a little bit of an introductory, cold open kind of thing. The second thing being the actual topic of today. So let's get started with that. First up, I want to say thank you guys for the reception on episode 1. I'm not crazy about views. I'm not crazy about the numbers. It helps to see them climb, but if I could reach like 5 or 6 or 10 people, I'll take that over thousands and thousands of people that don't really care. So I thank you guys again for your reception, and thank you for the kind words. And I'm glad that I was able to help a lot of you guys, because I know a lot of people were saying they needed to hear that and all the other good stuff. If you missed out on it, I will link the episode right here at some point in time, or just link it at the end of this one, but not to prattle on too much on that. Thank you guys again for your love and support. If you enjoyed these kinds of videos and want to see more of them, be sure to like this one, or dislike it if you don't like it. That's cool too. They don't show the dislike count, so I don't care. And be sure to subscribe. You can also ring the bell to get notifications for the page. You can either get all notifications, like everything that I do, or just some. I don't really know how that works, but YouTube will handle all that fuddy-duddy shit. Moving on, let's talk about our topic for the day. So today we're going to be talking about something that can be very dramatic, very messy, but I'm just not that kind of individual, and I felt like I had a little bit of insight on the topic. I am in no way, let me just go ahead and lay this out, I'm in no way a professional. I am in no way, I do not have a degree on the topic at hand today. I just have experienced a bit and wanted to share with you guys my findings. It's nothing more than that. I just want to get that out of the way now so nobody can say, oh, well, he talks like he's an expert. He talks like he knows it's better than anyone else. No, my autism makes me hyperfixate on things, and I notice patterns. I notice things that people do that don't make a lick of damn sense. So I was just like, hey, let me just put out a podcast about it, and if somebody agrees, cool. If they disagree, cool. If they see themselves in what I said, maybe they can do a little bit of analyzation and then soul searching and all that other good stuff. But I am in no way saying I am like those toxic males like Fresh and Fit and Kevin Samuels and all them. And if you don't think those are toxic males, just have that conversation with yourself. I am not here to fight that battle. If y'all want me to fight that battle, I can do that in another episode. Today ain't about that. This ain't this and that ain't that. So moving on, the topic for today, sorry for being so vague, but the topic for today is we're going to be basically just talking about what I feel like one should maybe work on or take note of before they go looking for love, before they go looking for a partner, before they go looking for a relationship, situationship, whatever. These are some of the guidelines I suggest should be followed, and it's not law. I'm not God, and I didn't put this on 2 stone tablets. This is just my perspective and what I've picked up on. And if you guys fucks with it, cool. If y'all don't fucks with it, that's cool too. Again, I cannot be more objective with this, or rather slightly subjective, but let's move on. With the advice that I've laid out, there are 5 key things that I think every person should take account of before they go looking for that special someone. Number 1, know what you want. Understand your intent and the impact you could have. Number 2, be honest with yourself, like brutally honest with yourself. And number 3, be willing to change or check yourself. And this is going to be a very fun one for the men. Number 4, know when to say no. And number 5, balance the mind and the heart. So let's go ahead and get started with number 1. Know what you want, intent versus impact. So all too often, and I'm probably going to use that phrase a lot this video, so get ready. All too often, I am made privy to situations where an individual will go in wanting one thing, get another, and have a problem. And I think that's as vague as I can get, so let's get stupid specific. I can speak from a man's perspective because I'm a man. I can't speak from a woman's perspective because I'm not a woman. I'm not even going to attempt to. I'm not going to do that thing some men do that's very toxic, where they just kind of like self-insert. I'm just going to talk about it from my viewpoint and kind of level with the men. So, okay, guys, if you're listening, How many times have you tried to talk to a woman? You're very interested in her, probably sexually, and or intimately rather, and you try to go the best friend route. Or you try to go the route of saying, hey, I'm not really looking for nothing serious. I'm just trying to holler at you, whatever. I ain't bothered if you say no, but I want you to say yes. Like you do men, we kind of do this manipulative thing where we try to call a bluff. And that bluff that we call is essentially saying, I don't care what you want to do, but no matter what, I'm willing to do it. And really and truly, that's not how you feel. You really just want her to go for the thing that you initially stated, which is a relationship or to fuck or whatever the case may be. But you're trying to lay it out like she has an option because you're trying to manipulate her into the option that favors you. Okay, moving forward. Intent versus impact. When you do this, men, I don't think you realize the damage you set forth past that point. If you walk in with the intention to just have a one-night stand and move on, make that clear. If you walk in with the intention to want to be a friend, but don't try to say you want to be a friend and work your way up to something more. That never, ever ends up healthy. It doesn't end up healthy. Now, I didn't say it doesn't work. It just doesn't end up healthy for either one of you because the basis, the foundation of what you're trying to do is false, essentially. And all things that are false, like wood, eventually cave the fuck in. So, when you are trying to get with somebody or you're trying to talk to them, whatever, just be upfront with what it is you want. And I know that sounds like it's easier said than done, but trust me, you would much rather be rejected by an individual right then and there for what you said you wanted versus trying to get something else out of them and then you get caught. Or you try to get something else out of them and then karma just catches your ass, because it always does. And yeah, there's gonna be that one guy, a couple of guys that say, oh no, it worked for me. I said I was trying to be a friend and then we turned into something more. But if you turned into something more and it was mutual, that's beautiful, that's good, that's healthy, that's great. But if it turned into something more because you pressured the individual by threatening the friendship that you already built upon, you's a piece of shit. Don't do that. Intent versus impact. You may have intended to just try to get the draws, my nigga, but the impact that you're having is long-lasting and partially traumatic to the individual that you did it to, and it ruins their trust. I'm not saying, hey, don't mess it up for the rest of us. I'm saying don't do it because they're a human being, and that's pretty fucked up. Moving on. Being honest with yourself. This is something I can say everybody needs to work on. Some of us have a history of terrible partners, and whether it was our lack of good judgment, whether it was just bad timing, rushing, pity, whatever the case may be, we need to fess up to ourselves with that. You need to sit down, and when you got a pattern of just really ugly partners, really like ugly exes, and I don't mean physically, not that superficial, I mean just as people, if you have a pattern, accept the pattern. The first step to getting better at anything or getting better with handling something is realization, but past that realization, there is action and then prevention. If you do not go past the realization, if you can't even get to the realization, my nigga, you stuck. Like, you're just not gonna make it. It's not gonna work out for you in the end because you're gonna keep making the same mistake. And I can't tell you how many times I experience this right now with individuals who think they are holding the cards, who think that they're all in control of the situation. Like, I got this figured out. It's no problem. They ain't gonna get me. I'm just here for shits and giggles. And they end up dealing with the same type of person they've been dealing with for the past 6, 7, 8, 9 years. There is a way to avoid that, and the first step is to sit down and say, okay, I have a type, and it's not necessarily the type that I want to spend the rest of my life with, but I am noticing a pattern here. How can I stop that pattern? And it starts with you. You're the one seeking them out or letting them in. You got to catch that pattern. You got to stop it right then and there. You have to have the moment and the honesty, the balls. Really, I wouldn't say the balls. I'll say you gotta have the vagina, because vaginas are powerful and tensile. You gotta have the vagina to face that stuff, okay? You have to have the strength of a woman who is on her cycle dealing with 3 loud-ass kids in traffic. You have to have the tenacity to face it and get it to settle down and focus on what the real problem is. Because if you don't, you're just gonna keep repeating the same shit you've been doing. Okay, so be honest with yourself. Moving on. Be willing to change. Check yourself. Again, I can kind of lean more so towards the men with this. Sorry, guys. I promise you I'm not picking on you. I promise you I'm not. But be willing to change. Check yourself. Like, it kind of leans in back to the be honest with yourself. But I can say personally, as someone who used to harbor a lot of toxic habits, when somebody checks you on it, you have to be willing to accept it. You have to be willing to take that criticism. We're all grown, or a majority of the people that listen to this are grown or grown-minded, and you have to be willing to, when someone tells you your shit stinks, bend over, take a sniff. Ooh, yeah, that don't smell like rose. Actually, it does smell like roses because roses smell terrible. You have to be willing to accept that and then move forward. Most people, sadly, are just not going to do that off the rip. I have people in my life that claim they like me because I'm a real friend, and then when I tell them real shit, they don't want to hear it. They have actively told me they don't want to hear it, and I'm like, well, okay. Then they do the same shit. They come back in a week, and whatever. I don't deal with as many individuals like that anymore, but you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to actively take criticism from others and move forward in a different light. I'm in a much better and a much healthier space. Yeah, a little bit of a testimonial. Bear with it. I'm going to Billy Mays y'all real quick. I am in a much better space because someone told me about myself. Somebody told me about my ugly parts, and I was willing to look at those ugly parts and face them and accept them and love them until they were pretty again. And although that message sounded superficial as fuck and I sound like a fucking Barbie movie, you get what I'm trying to say. Be willing to change. Check yourself on it. And if you don't, well, you can't expect anybody to be real with you because you ain't being real with yourself. The fuck? Moving on. Know when to say no. I feel like I'm back in the DARE program. Okay. Like the line with the tight ass t-shirt said, know when to say no. Like you guys know what an unsafe touch is. I assume everybody does. Everybody, we're gonna have a door moment. Raise your hand if you know what an unsafe touch is. Okay, so you know when to tell somebody you're being touched in an unsafe way, or back them up off of you, or whatever, or get out of the situation. You know how to tell the people at McDonald's no when they mishear you on the loudspeaker. You said sweet tea, and they're like, "Oh, you want a Pepsi?" And you're like, "Bitch, y'all have Coke products. What are you talking about?" You know how to correct them. You know how to say no to that. Know how to say no to a toxic bond. Know how to say no to something that's just a little too easy. You know, don't feel like you're obligated to say yes. You're not obligated to say yes to anything. You're not obligated to say yes to sex. You're not obligated to say yes to a date. You're not obligated to do any of that. You, at any point in time, as an individual who lives in this co-existential life, you are allowed to say no. You're allowed to cut it off. You could be talking to somebody for 6 fucking months. You done seen enough red flags. You can say, all right, we're done. We're done here. We're done. You can go on the first date, see a red flag, and say no. Nobody owes anybody anything. Not a damn thing. And the sooner we all realize that, the less time I can spend talking about it. Moving on. Last thing. Whew, let me take a breath because this is a big one. Gotta channel my inner Bruce Lee. Balance the mind and the heart. All too often, I've seen people lean one way or the other very, very, very strongly. Life is not experienced in a vacuum. Life is not a scale. You don't just go left or right. You don't extremely go black or white. You don't do that. Some people do. That's what you're into. Interracial types. That's you. But my point being is that you don't just say, oh, I'm just going to go about this logically, or I'm just going to go about this emotionally. You have to balance the two. They keep each other in check. They do what the American government said it was going to do. Sounded good on paper. Really shit execution, but moving on. It's checks and balances. You know, sometimes your heart says, hey, it's 3 a.m, I want some dick, ladies. And you, or men, if that's what you're into, you say, I want some dick. But logically speaking, you live 68 miles away from that motherfucker, and you don't need to be driving at 3 a.m. to go get some dick. That's a prime example of trying to balance the mind and the heart. Yeah, an extreme example, but no, nevertheless, you get my point. Sometimes you have to use extremities to get your point across quicker. Now, there are some situations where it may not be so clear. Take a moment. Ask yourself, hey, do I want to do this or that? Now, do I need to do this or that? It's just like buying bullshit in the store. It is literally just like buying bullshit in the store. Like you see the cereal that's like $7, and then you see the cereal that's like $3. It's the same fucking cereal. It's just a different picture on it. One has way better graphics, and the other one looks like poor Photoshop. And you ask yourself, what do you want or what do you need? Same thing with relationships. Same thing with love and intercourse and all that. What do you want? But what is it you need? I don't even think you can really apply that to intercourse. That's another topic for another day. I've dug a hole I'm not ready to jump into. But yeah, that's my 5. So to recap, know what you want. Intent versus impact. Be honest with yourself. Keep it a buck with you, okay? Be willing to change and check yourself. Again, keep it a $1.50 with yourself. Know when to say no. Open your damn mouth. Some of y'all get on the internet and y'all got the most dangerous fingers on the planet when it comes to typing out something scary on Instagram and adding somebody. When it comes to telling somebody you don't want to date them, you don't want to talk to them, you don't feel comfortable, they don't make you happy, they're not meeting your standards, you're not meeting their standards, you're not interested, you're bored. When it comes to those things, everybody's quiet as a mouse. Quiet as a mouse. Fuck all that. Grab your megaphone and say your shit, and then move on. And last but not least, balance the mind and the heart. They have to work in conjunction, and the sooner you get them in balance, the better. Now, am I a love guru? No. Am I going to have the perfect answers as to how to do all these things? No. Am I still working on them myself? Yes. But part of growing as a community, part of growing as a generation is to share the things that we learn with others. So if you feel up to it, use the comment section for that, or share this video with somebody that you think needs to hear my 5 guidelines, whatever. And if you liked it, like I said in the beginning, give it a like. If you want to hear more stuff like this, go ahead and subscribe. I could say personally, these are all things that I have learned in the past. How old am I? 24? Yeah, I'd say in the past 7 or 6 years. Like I've learned these things. I haven't unmastered them by any means. I'm only 24. I'm not even a quarter of my way through life. But this is what I've gathered. This is what I can share. If you can do something with it, great. If you can't do shit with it, well then, why were you here for 17 minutes and counting? But I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the topic at hand. Hopefully I can come up with interesting things to get you to stick around for 20 minutes. Whatever it is you're doing, however it is you're carrying on about your day, I hope that you have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week, month, and year. And I will talk to you guys whenever there's something else to make a podcast about. I'm King Anasazi. This was POWERCAST, and I'm out. And I forgot to say my thing. Peace, love, and abundance to you all. Now I'm leaving.